Welcome back to the podcast, and let's talk Texans 2020. Let's predict their wins and losses. Let's do it. All right, man, we're back, and let's talk Texans 2020 regular season games. Let's go ahead and predict their wins and losses for the season. Starting off Thursday night, September 10th at Kansas, and they're going against Patrick Mahomes, the beast offense. Kansas City, by far, I think, has the most weapons and one of the best quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the league. And you're going against Andy Reid's pass-heavy scheme, a strong offensive line, and a terrific group of targets, man. It's hard to beat. And with that being said, I have Houston losing the first game. So starting off 0-1 for Bill O'Brien and the Texans. Moving along, we got Sunday, September 20th against Baltimore Ravens at Houston. And with that being said, they're going against Lamar Jackson. Man, 1 and 2 games, first 2 games against the best 2 quarterbacks, I think, in the league, man. Lamar Jackson's going to run to victory, I believe, in that game. So, yes, I do have the Ravens winning that game. He's going to have fresh legs. Houston's defense is new with a new coordinator. We don't know how the offensive line is going to play as of yet. There's new secondary. They have a bunch of new players on defense. But with that being said, I don't think they have what it takes at this point on paper to stop Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens this early on in the season. Maybe down the line in the playoffs when Lamar Jackson doesn't have fresh legs. But right now, second game of the season, he for sure is going to run. He ran for more than 1,000 yards in 2019. So that'll tell you. I think he set a record for quarterbacks. So with that being said, Houston loses to the Ravens. So starting out 0-2 for Houston. Moving along, Sunday, September 27th at Pittsburgh. They're going into the Steeler Nation. And the Steelers are not the same dominant team they once was. Roethlisberger's a year older. He's 38 and not mobile at all. So he's going from playing top 2 quarterbacks in the league to Roethlisberger, which in my opinion is not a threat no more in this part of his career. Defense is good for the Steelers, but not good enough to stop Houston. So with that being said, I have Houston winning over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Moving along, we got Sunday, October 4th, Minnesota Vikings at Houston. So Houston stays home for the Vikings. A lot of people have Vikings winning that game. I believe the Vikings are a good team. They have a good defense. They were ranked 5th in defense in 2019. But I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan at all. I think at some point they're going to replace Kirk. I don't think he's a starting QB in the league. And I'm just not a fan of Kirk. With that being said, Houston's going to need to stop Dalvin Cook for them to win. And I do believe they have enough on defense to stop the run. And Kirk can't beat Houston just on his arm alone. So Minnesota loses to Houston. Houston wins at home. Moving along, we got Jacksonville at Houston, October 11th. And I do have Houston winning that game. Why? Jaguars always have a hard time winning in Houston. And then you got Gardner Minshew. You have Gardner Minshew in his second year. And was 2019 a fluke year for Minshew? Who knows? Does the Jaguars believe in Minshew themselves? Who knows? Are they even a playoff team, the Jaguars, Jacksonville? Who knows? With that being said, I do have Texans winning the game over Jacksonville. Moving along, we got Tennessee Titans, October 18th, and Houston is traveling to Tennessee. And I do have Houston winning that game. Why? Well, that's another team. I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill either. He can't win a game by himself. He needs a running game. And who knows in October if Tennessee is Derrick Henry's gonna have fresh legs at that point. They're gonna need every bit of Henry to win that game. And if Tennessee runs Derrick the way they've been running him, is he gonna be healthy at that point? Who knows? But with that being said, that's another quarterback, Tannehill can't win without a running game, and he's gonna need Henry. That's pretty much the whole identity of Tennessee at this point, is Derrick Henry. And with that being said, Houston wins October 18th against Tennessee. Moving along, Sunday, October 25th, Green Bay comes to Houston, and I think this is a good matchup for both teams. They match up pretty good. You have Aaron Rodgers, of course, but he doesn't have many weapons over there. He has Devontae Adams, yes, Aaron Jones, good. He had a good season last year, especially for fantasy owners. But that's it. No big threats for Aaron. I mean, Aaron, they could have drafted another receiver or running back, mainly receiver this past year, but they drafted a quarterback. Love made no sense. Pissed off all Green Bay Packers fans. And with that being said, Packers come to Houston. Houston wins. And the following week is a bye, November 1st for Houston. So moving along to Sunday, November 8th, we have Jacksonville. Jaguars again. Same goes. I think it's going to be a sweep for the Houston against Jacksonville. So not much there said, but they're going to win that game. Moving along to November 15th, a noon game against Cleveland at Cleveland. Now, this may surprise people in Houston, but I got Houston losing. Why? Well, if the Browns play up to their paper potential, then they're winning. Paper potential. Where on paper, they're looking good right now. But they still got to prove it. They have a new head coach. How good is he going to be? Is he going to be gone by the end of the year again? Like Freddie Kitchens? Who knows? But right now, I do have Cleveland beating Houston because they do have a good team. They seem to have going into the season, a good defense. And with that being said, Houston does not match up with Cleveland if it comes down to it. And I do have Houston losing to Cleveland. And moving along, we got the Patriots November 27th. It's going to be a noon game at Houston. Now, can Bill O'Brien finally get a win over the Pats? Maybe this year. Pats have no Brady, no big threats really. So maybe, just maybe, Houston gets a win. But I do have Houston winning that game against the Patriots at Houston. I don't see their new quarterback, Jared, I forget his last name, or Hoyer. I think Hoyer's the backup or might be the starter. Who knows over there? But I don't see them coming to Houston and taking the win. Moving along, we got Detroit, November 26th at Detroit. So Houston goes into Detroit, and I believe they take the win. The Lions are a big question mark at this point. Almost just like Houston. Houston's a question mark, but the difference is that Houston has Watson. So with that being said, I do have Houston winning that game. Detroit has Matthew Stafford, and he's just not a winner at this point. And their defense, Lions defense, ranked 26th last year. And so they don't have a good offense, a good dominant offense or defense. So with that being said, Houston wins at Detroit. Actually, Detroit needs to move on from Stafford at some point. He's been there way too long and not much to show for it. With that being said, let's move on to December 6th. Indianapolis Colts come to NRG, Houston, a noon game, of course. And I do have Houston losing that game. Indy is just looking dangerous. They had a great draft, just added even more weapons for Phillip Rivers. Look at the roster. Man, they have a scary roster. If you look at Indy, Phillips, man, he has a good cast around him, a good offensive line to start with, great offensive line, a good defense, and all the weapons he has on offense, man, they're going to have a good season. They have Marlon Mack, decent running back, T.Y. Hilton. He always shreds Houston. In Houston, Pittman, Campbell, the tight end, Jack Doyle, he's no slouch. Don't even talk about their offense. They built that offense especially for Andrew Luck. So now the offense is in place for whichever quarterback, and it happens to be Rivers this year. So yeah, I have Houston losing to the Colts. Moving along, we have December 13 at Soldier Field, the Bears. Houston traveling to Chicago, a noon game, and I do have Houston winning that game. The Bears just have no identity at this point. Well, they'll be starting Trubisky or Nick Foles. Who knows? When you don't know, man, just to think about it, man. Chicago could have had Mahomes or Watson. I bet those fans are over there tearing their hairs out, man, because So frustrating to see how good these other guys are that they could have had, but went after Trubisky, man. Trubisky. Anyways, Houston wins against the Bears. I mean, Bears still do have a good defense. They ranked 4th in 2019, but that will not be good enough to beat Houston. So the matchup is in Houston's favor. With that being said, Houston all over the Bears. Moving along, December 20th, they got the Colts again, but at Lucas Oil Stadium. And same outcome, I got Houston losing, especially at Indy. Same goes, man. They're going to be dangerous. It's going to be fun to see. But yeah, bad news for Houston. And moving along, December 27th, a Sunday at NRG in Houston, they got the Bengals. And I do have Houston winning that game. Bengals are rebuilding right now, and they did draft a beast of a quarterback. I think the rookie QB, Joe Burrow. He's going to be good and will be great, but not just now. So Houston, I think, has the upper hand there. They're going to come into Houston and will lose against Houston December 27th. And moving along to the last game of the season, regular season, Sunday, January the 3rd, a noon game in Houston. They got Tennessee. And again, at this point, I almost guarantee Derrick Henry's either going to be broken, hurt, just legs not there, just ran to hell. And with that being said, I do have Houston winning that last game against the Titans. And with that being said, folks, that's the podcast. So that will bring the Texans to a record of 11-5. 2019, last year, they had a record of 10-6. They get better by one game, according to my predictions. With that being said, folks, y'all guys have a good week, good weekend. The weekend is over, actually. But you guys have a good working week. For some of y'all, I guess. Anyways, party hard. And remember, stay out of trouble and stay out of jail. Peace out.